See, once the budgets are done, we have to track our actuals with the budget, right? For the next month, or how did I perform in the current month? Am I more or less in line with what I have budgeted? Are my actuals more or less in line with what we have budgeted? So once we do the tracking process, so that tracking can help us in better control. Either find out those people who missed the targets very badly, take some action against them, or it might result in process improvement. Okay, next year, next month, revise the budget accordingly. Probably whatever we have set as target 2000 and 3000 units, probably they may be unachievable. They are not realistic. So let's make it as 1800 and 2800, something like that. So either it could result in identifying that people have not performed well, or it may be kind of a exercise for us to revise our targets and make them more and more realistic. So from all these standpoints, whatever the tracking we are doing and analyzing the deviations from the targets, deviation from the budget, is what we call as the variance. Wherever we are deviating from the budgets in terms of actuals, that is what we are calling as the variances. So for various items, we'll try to find out the variances. Sales, what is the variance? Materials, what is the variance? Labor, what is the variance? How much is actuals different from the budget? For that, we actually prepare, before I get into this, we actually prepare what is called as a flexi budget, which is nothing but, let's say we initially targeted 2000 units of the regular and 3000 units of deluxe, right? Now, depending on exact number of units you have sold of both of them, exact number of units. At the end of the month, you will know how many units of regular you have sold, how many units of deluxe you have sold. So let's say you have sold 1900 units of this, and let's say 3100 units of this, or 3100 you cannot sell because you might not have even, or you might have produced. So probably let's assume you might have sold 3100 units because they are there in the inventory anyhow. So let's assume you have sold 3100 units because of some demand. Now what it says is, the flexi budget is nothing but you modify your budget by replacing the numbers with the actual volumes. Don't change anything else, only change the actual volumes. It could be lesser than what you have targeted, or it could be more than what you have targeted, but replace them with the actual volumes, like this. I'll show it here. Okay, let's go back here. What happened? Okay, initially our targets were 2000 this and 3000 this. So our sales was 5,50,000. Now I will make it like 1900 of this actuals, 3100 of this. So this has become 5,55,000. My initial plan was 5,50,000, but actuals was 5,55,000. So the total variance is 5,55,000 minus 5 lakhs. This is what we call as the total variance, sales variance. But so earlier it was 5,50,000. So 5,000 is the variance, which is nothing but, so the first thing we have to do to find out the variance is make a flexi budget. What we mean by the flexi budget is replace your units, number of units, with the actual. don't change anything else. But this would have resulted a problem change across, right? Materials would have changed, labor would have changed, all changes would have come up. Let them be there like that only, which means initially your cost, you make a note of that. So what I am saying is, when they are 2000 and when this is 3000, what I'll write down somewhere is, I'll write down my sales is 5,50,000. My materials cost, what is my materials production cost here? The materials cost 54,821. So I'll write materials cost 54,821, and I'll also put my direct labor cost as, let's say, 314,000. Right? Now, when I make a flexi budget, my flexi budget is what? I will replace this with the actuals. Assuming that I have sold 1900 units of regular and 3100 units of deluxe. This is my flexi budget. So as per my flexi budget, my revenues are 5,55,000. Then my materials cost is 55,891. It has increased. And even my labor cost is 316,000. Right? Now, these are the inputs that I will take to actually analyze my variances. So the first one will result in sales variance. So first thing is flexi budget. Flexi budget, whenever someone is saying, it's nothing but the same budget that is prepared with revised number of units. That revised number of units is your actual units. This the flexi budget is used for your tracking purpose. To see what are we doing here, I want to see whether the difference, when we talk about sales, there are two items that are influencing. Whether the difference is because of the units or is it because of price. Overall, I made a difference. Is it because of the number of units, or is it because of the price, or is it because of anything else? Same thing with the labor. Is it because of underproduction of the units, or a difference in the units produced, or is it because of the per hour rate of the labor? The labor cost has gone up. Is it because of the units, or is it because of the cost? Similarly, we are talking of materials. Is it because of the units, or is it because of the cost of the material going up? End of the period. This is for tracking purpose only. Variance is for tracking. Plan you have made at the beginning of the month. Variance you will compute as a control measure, assessment. It's at the end of the month, end of the year, end of the month, whatever is the budget period, end of the budget period. When you are actually tracking, when you actually know your actual units, how many units you have sold during the period, right? So now, what are we looking at here? Sales volume variance. Sales volume is talking about loss of sale of the required number of units. So probably to make it much more better, what I'll do is, instead of 31 here, let me make it 29 only. It will give you much better picture. So this is 5,29,000. right? And here it is 52,841 and 302. 52,841 and 302,000. So which means my actuals have actually gone down in all these. Now what we are saying is, when I am talking about sales volume variance, because of underproduction or under sales, because of selling lesser number of units, how much is my loss? Original and the flexed budget. What is the difference? So whatever the difference is, what we are calling as a sales volume based variance. So the sales volume based variance for me here is 21,000 drop, actual minus targeted, minus 21,000 is my variance. But let's assume that I was able to increase the price of this to 90. I was able to increase the price of this to 90, which means what is my overall loss? Overall loss was only 2,000 now. Overall loss is only because my targeted sales was 5,50,000. My actuals was 5,48,000. So instead of thinking that my overall loss is only 2,000, I am breaking that into two parts. Assume that the prices are constant, change the volumes to the actual volumes. That is what is saying the loss because of volume. Because I am not able to sell that many units which I have produced as per my budgeted price, I have incurred a loss of 21,000. Now, when it comes to the price, but because of an increase in the price, I was able to gain something. What was the gain I am getting? A 10 rupees increase in the price has occurred. A $10 increase in the price for almost 1900 units. For the 1900 units, there is a $10 increase in the price, which means there was a cover up of 19,000. So the price variance, which we call, because of the change in price, what was the loss or the profit? See, if he had sold that for 70 only, so there are two losses in that. One is a loss because of volume. You are not able to sell the see, instead of when in this variance analysis, every variance analysis is break down into two components, right? When I say sales variance, I want to break it down into sales volume variance, sales price variance, because sales is composed of these two. Sales total revenue value is composed of my price and my volume. So what I am doing, first I am keeping the price constant. I know actual total difference. What is the total difference in this example? It is 2,000. Right? It is 2,000 because my actuals are 1900 units at 90 rupees a unit, 2,900 units at 130 a unit. So overall my revenue was 5,48,000, whereas the budget was 5,50,000. So it may sound that I have lost 2,000, or I did not reach my target. I fell short of my target by 2,000 bucks. But I don't want to stop it there, any analysis. I want to break it down. Out of this 2,000 loss or 2,000 drop, how much is contributed by volume? How much is contributed by the price? For that, what am I doing? I'm fixing the price. whatever is the budgeted price and substituting with the actual volume. So whatever the downfall that is coming, that is not because of price, that's because of volume only, because prices I have kept it as constant, original prices only, budgeted only. Budgeted price, I am looking at changing the volume, whatever was the actual volume, and from that I could experience that there is a loss of almost 21,000 because of, if the prices had been maintained at that level only, I would have actually lost 21,000. But because the prices were increased by $10 for the first one, on 1900 units I have gained 19,000. So the price variance was a positive 19,000. Volume variance was a negative 21,000. Overall variance is negative 2,000. That is how we interpret it. Every variance, that is the total. So volume variance. Now, why am I doing that exercise? Volume variance is more to do with my sales people. They are not able to sell the targeted quantities, right? So the accountability, I can put it on sales people. They were not able to perform to the expectation. Whereas the price, I will attribute to the marketing team, not to the sales team. I'll attribute it to the marketing team who has set the price. They are the people who decide the price, right? Or they can very well say the head marketing or whosoever, whatever is the pricing department. The pricing department is not able to price the product properly, or even higher is positive is also a bad thing. I could not set the target correctly, right? When my sales team was able to sell it at 90, why couldn't I predict it, or why couldn't I target it at 90 itself? So even my pricing team did not do a good job. Though for the short moment it has covered my total difference, I should not be fully happy about it, because somewhere the budgeting is not happening proper. Because anything too high or too low from the budget, which means you are not going as per the plan. When the people are able to just go into the market and sell it at 90, why can't the same had been reflected in the price itself? Which means tomorrow, or probably if people were not able to sell it at 80 and they had to give some discount and sell it at 70 just to sell the product, then it means that my marketing team has done a high pricing, where probably my competitors are not at 80 at all, they are all at 70, and I was forced to sell at 80, because of which I am not able to sell the product. So the analyzing of the variances, they actually provide a better picture in terms of taking decisions. The same logic will go into your material space. Now the same thing with the sales price variance. Now go into the materials variance also. We are talking about material usage variance, material price variance. Usage is again volume. Whatever was the raw material required, because you have sold less number of units, the raw material required has gone down, and because of that, because of the raw material, number of raw materials used has gone down, the cost of the raw materials also has gone down, right? That is that difference in the raw materials cost that has come up. When you make a flexi budget, the difference between the actuals and the budgeted is contributing to your usage variance, because you have used less number of quantities, because you have sold less number of goods. The production also had happened for less number, which has resulted in less usage. So the usage variance is attributed to that. And the second part is price. Right? If the price has gone up, though you have used less quantity, but you have paid more. Instead of 3.5 per cloth, you had to pay 3.75 per cloth. Then that difference is because of your price variance. So for every item, you are doing what is the budgeted usage, or because of the lesser number of sales, it will impact your materials, it will impact your labor, it will impact almost your overheads also. So what we are saying is, every variance which we are computing, now here also usage variance, what can I attribute it to? Probably my production team did not use the raw materials properly. They have underutilized the raw material. Whereas if it is a price variance, I may say my purchasing team did not do a good bargaining in terms of purchasing the product. So everything can be attributed to two items. Usage is more of a problem with the production team, but price is more of a problem of the purchasing team. I have budgeted that the price is 3.5, but the actuals has become 3.75, which means my purchase team either could not give a good target, or they were not able to buy it at the targeted price. So that responsibility will be associated to my purchasing department. So that's the reason we have to break this to identify the correct accountabilities for each of these things. Same thing if you look at labor. There is a labor efficiency variance versus a labor rate variance. Because see, the labor cost has changed. Simple thing. I mean, labor cost has changed. Because of what? Labor did not work, or they worked for more number of hours, or per hour rate is more or less. Because of these two aspects, the total labor cost will change. Either they have been used for more number of hours than what is required, or per hour rate was more. One of these two could have happened. If they are used for more number of hours, then it's an issue with the efficiency, manager not getting the work from them properly. So it's more about, or probably they are all unskilled kind of a people who have to be replaced. That is more to do with the efficiency, which means keeping the labor rate same, per hour rate the same. I'll see how many hours they have been actually used. So whatever is the difference that comes between the budgeted and the actuals, that is what is contributing to your labor efficiency variance. So if it is a problem with the labor efficiency, either they have to be trained or they have to be removed. Something has to happen because they are not efficient as per the budgeted. But if I am talking about labor rate variance, then I will attribute it to the HR manager. He did not recruit people at that budgeted rate. Either he had to spend more to recruit those kind of people. So what happens is, at all these layers, the variance analysis will really help in tracking with the actuals and associating the problem specific to a particular department. So that's where what we typically see is, once any budget is planned, people, as a part of the tracking process, instead of just looking at what is the difference between the actual and the predicted value at a higher level, they will look at it by breaking everything into two parts. Especially these three areas: sales price, sales volume; material usage, material price, material cost; labor usage, which is efficiency, labor cost. So because each one can be attributed as a responsibility of a different department altogether. So this is the typical tracking with the budget, and based on this analysis, people will revise the numbers for the next month. If let's say the price has to be 90, what they'll do is for the next month budget, they'll set 90 as the price target. Probably if the sales, this is looking too much, 2000 and 3000 are looking too much on the higher side. So then they'll say, let's revise it by reducing it by 100 or 200. So the targets are revised. Labor rate, probably they are all variables. Last month we have set it at $10. But today the labor prices have gone up very much. So 10 would be a difficulty. So let's set it at 12. So the target itself would be revised based on this kind of an analysis.